Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Come on in, sit down. We got two episodes we're gonna do back to back. We have turns out we have a special guest. We have an author, Coach. We get somebody who can actually write. So
I can almost read.
We're going to introduce him. We've got Tom Gledhill. He's author of ValuDriver System. We're going to talk all about that in a second. This is the Fox Robbins Business Show, which is everything and anything you ever wanted to know about small business. Everything.
And then some.
And I'm the co-host, Bill Fox. The other co-host, you got to pay attention to
Listen
this
to
guy.
this, Tommy. You wouldn't believe it.
This guy is perspicacious. He's perspiring. No, he's not perspiring. He's a brilliant, he's a genius. He is Coach Robbins.
Genius, I understood. Liar.
And as I said, we have a special guest, is Tom Gledhill. He's a author, again, of the ValuDriver System. And Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
And this is your book is all about a proven system to help small business owners be part of the only 25% that successfully sell their business. I think that the thing we're going to talk to Tom about is it's great to start a business. You go and create a business.
Right.
But their businesses have a life cycle. There's a life cycle to business.
Right.
And at some point,
we have a life cycle as human beings too.
I thought you were forever.
Well, I'm going to hang on a while.
But you've got to have. There's a beginning and an end, and there's a point maybe at where a business, can be sold to other owners or closed down if necessary or whatever. But there should be planning in advance. But Tom is going to instruct us in that, and. Tom, we're going to go right to the, move right on to the first slide here. So, Tom, tell us, what is the problem?
Well, the problem, Bill, is that only 1 in 4 companies actually sell that go to market. And when I first got let me tell you a little bit about my background. I've been a small businessman for most of my career. And when I finally sold my software company, I thought we got a pretty good deal. But a few years later, I got involved in business brokerage, and I was in a classroom learning about business valuation. And I was kind of doodling around with on a pad from what I learned to my, putting in context with my company that I sold. And I realized that I left a lot of money on the table. So I started thinking about, what could I have done to learn more about selling my company? Because I knew my company, I knew my product, I knew my market, I knew how to sell my product,
Right.
but I knew nothing about selling a company.
Right.
Okay. So I started thinking about the process of, what does a broker do, an experienced broker do, when they first meet a business owner who wants to sell his company. What do they do pre-engagement and post-engagement? Well, what they do is they go in and they analyze the company, and they do that typically by talking to the business owner, maybe taking a brief tour of the facility, okay? Then they rate what they've seen, they rate the company, then they look at the different buyer types, and the final thing is that they match what the company has to offer to what the buyer wants, the buyer type. So that's the process.
Right.
So that got me thinking about the ValuDriver System to begin with. Now, after I had been in the business for a while and talked to hundreds of business owners, I realized that only 25%, 1 in 4, maybe it's 1 in 5, that actually sell, okay? When I first started, I heard and read about that, but I didn't believe it, okay? I didn't believe that only 1 in 4 sold. But after talking to hundreds of business owners who wanted to sell, finding out their businesses weren't saleable, I believed it, okay? So I started thinking more seriously about what can we do to help these business owners sell their business.
Make the business saleable
Make
before
it
they actually
saleable.
try to put it on
Yeah,
the market, right?
Exactly.
That's a shocking number, Coach. Only
It
25%.
shocked me.
I mean, if you said 80%, let's say, 20%
Don't sell.
don't sell, but 80% do. But it's 25%.
Well,
Only
when he
25%.
said that to me, I said, Tommy, I never realized that because I'm not in the business of selling businesses. I'm in the business of starting them and building them. And that shocked me. 1 out of 4 is going to sell. That's unbelievable. But it happens to be true.
But it's also that those business owners, you tell us, most of their net worth is in the biz.
That's right.
That's the saddest part.
That's right.
How do they
A
get
study
their money
by
out?
Pepperdine University showed that the majority of the net worth of most of these businesses, small business owners, is in the company.
Sure.
So if they can't sell the company, they don't have that money for retirement,
Right.
or perhaps their next big venture.
Right,
It's not available to them.
Yeah.
It's not liquid.
right.
Well, you have here in stating the problem, you have a business example, you have the football analogy, you have the effect, impact on family employees, and also for the country as a whole. Tell us about that.
Well, what are we talking about here? A $2 million business could easily sell for $1 million.
Sure.
Okay. A $700,000 business could sell for $350,000. Okay. Now that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to leave on the table. Okay. Now these people, these companies, these business owners have a company. They're not starting from scratch. They've might have gone, between 20 and 40 years
Right.
with that business, going through all of the pains that a small business owner does, meeting payroll, satisfying employees, satisfying customers, getting new customers, all right? They have a company. They're not starting from scratch. And it's not unlike a football team, right? They take the ball in their end zone, they grind it out for 95 yards, they end up on the 5-yard line, first and goal from the 5.
Yeah.
4 plays later, they're still there, okay?
Yeah.
They walk away with nothing. And that's what happens with these business owners that can't sell their company, okay? Now, we talk about the, what does a broker typically do when they go? Well, there comes a point in walking up the business pyramid where brokerage firms, they won't take an engagement without doing a rigorous analysis, okay?
Yeah.
And that's a part of the process, and they charge for that. Now, for a small company, it might be between $5,000 and $10,000.
Right. To
And as-
value the company for the.
Well, to analyze the company
Yeah.
and develop a report, and meet with a business owner and give him options. What do you want to do? Do you want to sell and go, or do you want to stay and grow? Okay. So from that point, you move up the business pyramid, and a $50 million company, this report, could cost, $30,000, $40,000.
$1,000, yeah.
Okay. Now the small business owner is probably not going to pay between $5,000 and $10,000.
Not somebody with $1 million
Okay.
business, $1 million of sales. They don't have the cash flow to do it, right?
Right. So what I tried to do was to develop take what I had come up with before, this 4-step process, and try to simply systematize it. Okay. And what I've done really is taking something that people already know. I mean, there are no sophisticated algorithms here. It's things that they already know, and systematize it so that the business owner can do it himself.
Right.
All right, and save himself thousands of dollars.
5-10 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are we now here?
And that's what you've done, is after talking with hundreds of business owners who couldn't sell their companies, you developed the ValuDriver system.
The ValuDriver System.
That is now ensconced in your on the booklet.
It's all in the book, and I've also developed an online course for people that need more structure and more accountability.
Right.
Incidentally, before we go one more step, I want to make sure the people watching our show they may or may not know that there is such a thing as a business broker. I mean, it's not all that apparent, guys. You know,
No, it's
you've
not.
heard of stockbroker, you've heard of an automobile dealer, broker. You know, you've heard of all that, but there is such a thing as a business
There is.
broker, and it's a whole industry out there. But I'm just mentioning it because I think that not all owners even realize that there is that profession out there
And
waiting.
a lot of owners of small businesses that own their property, that own the real estate, they think that their real estate person can sell the property in their business. And I have never found one real estate competent at selling real estate, never got involved with selling a business. And sometimes we get at war because of some of the things the real estate broker says about the business. I said they're two different things. The real estate's the real estate, and certainly the real estate purchase is going to be funded by the business, but the business is a separate value.
But
There's
that's like
nothing to do
asking
with
the tuba player to play the violin. I mean,
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
two separate
But the
games.
business thinks the tuba player can play the violin. That's the mistake I see there, right? And they can't.
Well, the value driver system, Tom, the basics of the valuation and so forth. Tell us about that. What's going on here?
Well, let me just elaborate on what Cliff just said about business brokers. There's a tremendous difference between real estate brokers and business brokers. Number one, there are a lot more moving parts in a business.
A lot.
You know, with a residential house, you know, a colonial with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths
In a
a
particular
given neighborhood
area, right.
is the same as, you know,
The one next door, it's the
pretty
same
much the
house.
same.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you don't fall in love with your house.
Yeah, right.
But people do fall in love with their companies.
Of course they
right?
do.
It's their baby.
They've sweat blood, sweat, and tears for 25 years, and they do fall in love
Yeah.
with it, right?
Classic example, my uncle in 1959 could have sold his paper distribution business for $14 million. I was sitting in his office 10 years later, and we were going out to dinner, and he said, "Just wait a minute, I've got to finish up my meeting here." Well, the walls of the office didn't go all the way to the ceiling, so I could hear what they were talking about. And they were talking about buying his business. And one of the gentlemen said, "Well, we think your business is only worth what your equipment is, and we value that at about $250,000." From $14 million to $250,000 because my uncle fell in love with his company.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's the difference.
Anyway, so tell us the value, what you've created, the value driver system that starts with the basics of business valuation.
Yeah, a business owner should know the very basics of business valuation. You know, knowing how to value a business is a you know, that's a college course. That's a whole semester course.
Sure.
It's a several week course for an individual who wants to become certified as a business valuation
Right,
expert.
business broker, business
But there are
CPA.
a couple in a small business. There are a couple of parameters really that we're concerned with, and a business owner should really know what they are because it's really the basics of the methodology of the system. Okay, so the next thing is there are functional areas within a company that drive value. Okay, and we call them value drivers.
Right.
Okay, now for a small company, they're a little bit different than for a big company, all right? Because for a small company, the objective of this value driver system is not to create a moat around a company so the competition can't get in. It's not to make them the best company in their field. It's to make them saleable,
Right.
okay? And also to increase their value, all right? So the next thing we look at in the system is who are the buyer types,
Right.
all right? And what are they looking for in an acquisition? This is key because if you know that, then you can improve those parts of your company that the business buyer wants. Okay. And then the last thing we do is we match
And match the two.
what the buyer
Match the
types
two.
want
Right.
with what the business owner has to offer.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
And that will maximize the return he gets when he sells the business.
Right, you not only make it saleable,
Yeah.
but you also increasing the value. You're going to
Exactly.
increase the amount of money you get when you do sell it.
That's right.
Okay.
now you're on to the basics of the business valuation, and you've got the market approach, income approach, asset approach. Tell us about that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there are three basic approaches to the valuation process. The market approach, which is what real estate uses.
Right.
Okay.
Comparables.
Comparables. We
Right.
call them comparables.
Yep.
Now, for a small business, we use these comparables, but only as a supplement to the major approach.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
You go through the whole thing, and then you look at comparables to see if you're in the ballpark. All right. Now, the income approach is basically what we use for a small business, and it's just what it says. It's based on the income. Okay. The asset approach is only used when the fixed assets of the company overwhelm all other
Right.
value.
Whatever the highest number is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if a company is losing money, you can't use the income approach.
Right.
Because it makes no sense.
Right.
So then you use the asset approach.
But the present value of the equipment might be $1 million.
Right.
So you say, okay, the company's worth $1 million if you can come in and turn it around.
Right.
The other thing is you don't want to buy it and lose money either.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so V equals I over R.
Yeah, that's an equation that a lot of, people have seen in high school physics or basic electronics. And in that context, it stands for voltage equals the current divided by the resistance.
Right.
Okay? Here, in valuation, we just change the labels to value equals income divided by risk.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. We're moving on the business evaluation. Income most used, and you have a definition of income and risk and capitalization rate. So
Right.
let's cover those.
Right. The definition of income in this scenario is something called earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's known as EBITDA.
EBITDA.
Okay?
Right.
And you get it simply by looking at the financial statements, the income statement, and grabbing the net operating income and adding the interest, taxes, and taxes paid,
Yep.
depreciation, and any
Amortization.
amortization that's paid.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
So that's the definition. Now, for companies less than about 3 million in revenue, we use what's called seller's discretionary earnings. And all that is EBITDA plus the owner's salary.
Right.
All right? So that's the definition of the income. For the capitation rate, the risk is defined, it's really the capitation rate, the capitalization rate, okay? The capitalization rate is defined as that return on investment that would entice an investor
Right.
to invest in a financial vehicle or business, all right? So let's take a look at some examples.
Okay.
So these are examples that people are familiar with, okay? Treasury bonds historically have been between 3 and 6%, except for the last few years, which has been an aberration. So large public companies, between 8 and 12%, basically the stock market,
Right.
all right? And large private companies, between 15 and 20%.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between those two is that the public companies are liquid.
Right.
So they are, you
Easy to
sell
sell
them.
the stock.
Yeah, they're stock.
Right.
You sell it, you get reimbursed quickly.
Sell it today.
All
I
right?
get the cash
Sell it
in my
today,
account today.
Get
Right.
paid, yeah. And the one we're interested in, small private companies, between 25 and 50%. They're not liquid, and they're at high risk,
Right.
all right?
And therefore you need this kind of a return.
You need that kind of a return.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna go on. What have we got, Coach? Right. Yeah, the value drivers in business in the business foundation, Tom, are what? They're industry, product, company, competition. Explain that to
Well,
us.
let's talk about the categories first.
Yeah.
For small business, I've come up with 16 for small business. Now, what we're talking about small business here, we're talking about businesses between 500,000 to 5 million in revenue.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are really plateaus to business.
Yeah.
And once you get to about 10 million in revenue, then people start hiring professional management.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
So this is really for those businesses 5 million and below who really aren't even aware that there's a problem.
Right.
Okay? And if they are aware of it, now most small business people think that they're going to sell, when they sell their business, that's going to be their retirement.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
But that's somewhere way in the back of their mind. All right? They don't even give it a thought. They're so busy with day-to-day operations,
Working in it.
working in the business and
Right.
not on the business.
Right.
That they don't even think about the fact that I might not be able to sell this thing. All right?
Never crosses their mind, quite frankly.
They don't even think about it.
Well, this is one of the problems with them falling in love with it, because from what I've seen, well over 90% of the businesses that people bring to me to buy are way overpriced. I mean, they're ridiculous, and they think their ugly baby's gorgeous, you know, and it ain't.
Yeah, the hardest thing when you meet a business owner is bringing them down to earth.
That's right.
That it's not worth 3 times what they think it is.
Yeah, I think I want to sell my business for $1 million. Excuse me, your business is worth about $150,000. What? You're crazy. Yeah, no, then that won't sell.
Anyway, what you call the foundation would be industry.
So I found 16 value drivers.
Right.
And what I've done is breaking them down into categories.
Okay,
all right?
okay, all right.
The foundation value drivers really are the foundation, the foundation of the company.
Right.
All right. Then you've got your must-have value drivers. And then you've got your stabilizer value drivers, and then what I call the big hitter value
Right.
drivers. Now the big hitter value drivers really bring a premium to the value of the company. All right. Now the foundation value.
Let's go back to the foundation
Yeah,
part.
the foundation value drivers are your industry. All right, the industry you're in, that's really important.
It is important,
all right?
right.
Because industries, you know, they get hot, they get cold. Like
Right.
the automobile industry in the United States. You know, during the 40s, 50s, 60s, it was hot. And then all of a sudden it wasn't because of the competition from
Right.
basically Japan.
Right.
All right. And then back about 2000, it started to heat up again.
Yep.
All right. But that not only affects the automobiles, it affects everybody that's associated with selling products to the
To
automobile
the
industry.
automobile
all right?
manufacturers.
Now, your product and service obviously is a foundation for your business.
What
That's
are you really selling to the automobile
Yeah,
industry?
it's how you put bread on the table.
Right.
Okay. And the company that when we're talking about the company, we're talking about the outside perception of your company.
Yep.
Does it have a brand?
Yeah.
Does it have what's the reputation? Okay.
Right.
It's what people perceive the
Right.
company to be.
Right.
And then competition. If you don't have competition, you probably won't have a business.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
You got to have competition, but the competition is important. It's important that you know your competition, and it's important you know the intensity and the level of the competition. All right, so this creates really the foundation of a business.
Well, I've had experience talking to business people that say, use your competition. I don't know. I mean,
I don't have any. Probably
I
don't have a
yeah,
business.
yeah, I love that answer. I
Yeah.
don't have any. Yeah.
Really? Okay. All right.
And the competition, you know, the competition could be, these days, could be technology, you know, in a way. I mean, that whatever you're doing, you know, could be the biggest competitor could be, you know, the advance in technology that's going on, you know.
Right.
Whatever.
Well,
Okay.
as you go up the pyramid and you get the car companies, automobile companies, they will buy their competition car and they'll tear it apart.
Yeah. Right.
So
And know what
but-
that car's all about.
But right now, with the internet, there's something called Alexa, and you can go on this website, and you can look at your competition. What kind of visits they're getting to their website?
Yep.
You know, what's the rating of their website?
Right.
You know, and then you can go on their website and see the bios of the officers.
Sure.
You can see what they're promoting. You can
Right.
see what
Even
their
if they're
product
private
is.
companies, they've got a
There are all
presence.
kinds of ways of doing it now.
That's right. They're on the web.
That's foundation. Now, your next category of the 16, this is the next category, is called must-have.
Yeah, you must have personnel are
People.
incredibly important.
Yeah.
Having key employees is one of the most important value drivers you can have. Because if you do, then you can work on your company because
Right.
you've got people working in your company.
And if somebody wants to buy my company, whether I stay or not, maybe
You're going to be leaving.
if I leave, I've got to have some people. They've got to have some people here that are quality people that are going to stay. They're investing in those people as much as they're investing in the company.
There are two things, Coach, that you need to sell a company. Sustainability
Yep,
and transferability.
right. And the people make it
And
transferable.
the people make it sustainable.
Right.
And also your systems make it sustainable.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, I want you to hold that thought because we got so much to cover, we got to go to a second episode. But we've got to bring this one to a close and then open in our second episode. So hold that thought.
Okay.
And we're talking
And we're holding you. You're not going anywhere for now.
we're talking to Tom Gledhill. This is episode 1 of 2. It's all about a proven system to help small business owners successfully sell their business, or start thinking about it first,
Yeah.
and then successfully approach the sale of a business.
Exactly.
Okay, and thank you for watching Fox Robbins Business Show. We'll be back with Tom for episode number 2. And all of the Fox Robbins episodes are uploaded to YouTube. So you just simply go to YouTube and at the search box type in one word, Fox Robbins, FOXROBBINS, and click, and there's a whole library, and choose Tom Gledhill's episodes or any others that are of interest. And we'll be right back to see you in a minute. Thank you, and stay tuned for the second episode.